when you update here, real time it will update to create the Swagger UI documentation for you. So on the right hand side, you can see the Swagger UI view, Java, then pass the jar, then the jar file, and then generate. Then input, I need to pass the API specification file, and then L. So I need to give the language, and then out, the output location. Now you can see, yeah, the client we have created. So the base path, the URL is there, and you can see all the code base is here for our client. And then it has some tests as well. So for the pet API, using JUnit, it created some unit tests as well. Hello, my dear friends, and welcome back to QA Bro, your favorite YouTube channel. So as I promised, I'm back on this Friday as well, and I have brought a new tool for you. So under our API playlist from this week, we can start looking at another set of tools. So today I'm going to discuss about the Swagger from the Smart Bear. But before going into Swagger, I think it's better to discuss some things like, yeah, when I tell the name like Swagger, and there are like other terms as well used interchangeably with Swagger, and people sometimes use it wrong, like the Open API. What is Swagger? What is Open API? So like there are different terms which we need to, I think, clear first. So yeah, the difference between Swagger and the Open API. So let's start like this. First of all, like yeah, the Open API currently, like the 3.x version is there. Open API is a specification where we can use Open API for the documentation or design purposes of our RESTful APIs. So we will use the Open API specification. So Open API is a specification. But when it comes to the Swagger, Swagger is a set of tools which we can use for API designing, API documentation, and also for testing purposes. So this is the Swagger homepage. So here, if you go to the tools, here you will see all the available list of tools which are available on the Swagger platform. Swagger is from the company called Smart Bear. So then, yeah. So then we have a problem like why people use both Swagger and OpenAPI together. What is the reason for that? Because OpenAPI is now, if you check here, let's go and see this. If you check OpenAPI, so here you will see the OpenAPI initiative. It's using openapis.org, you can access that. So this API specification is now powered by OpenAPI, and it's under the Linux Foundation. So they are doing all this, the specification, new changes, and everything is handled through this OpenAPI. But previously, this was under Swagger, Swagger 2.0. The specification was there, and then Swagger made it open source, and they donated to the OpenAPI. So now OpenAPI is under the OpenAPI initiative. So that's why people still sometimes interchangeably use Swagger and OpenAPI together. But now Swagger is a set of tools which you can use for your API designing, documentation, and testing. And then OpenAPI, on the other hand side, is a specification which you can use to create your RESTful APIs. So that's the difference between the Swagger and the Open API. Oh, that misunderstanding started after like Swagger API was renamed as the Open API, or when it was made as open source, and then those two was handled separately. But still, with Swagger tools, you can create this Open API specification APIs, and you can test all these things. For those things, you can use the Swagger tool list. Okay, so I hope that part is clear. Now you know very clearly like what is Open API and what is Swagger. Okay, so here, as I mentioned, there are huge list of tools which you can use for your API purposes. Mainly there are two parts, the Pro part and the open source. Under Swagger Pro, you have the API Hub, which have some extra tools and also some additional features inside these tools. And under open source, the Swagger open source tool list is there. Swagger Codegen, Swagger Editor, and the Swagger UI, which you can use these things free without purchasing any licenses. So, and also we have the API Hub Enterprise. This is the team, and this is for the enterprise for companies. Likewise, there are different tools and different license options are available. So about the license options, I think it was mentioned. Let's go to the resources. So I will go to this explore all tools option here. And here if you come at bottom here, now you can compare like Swagger open source tools, API Hub for individual, API Hub for team, API Hub for enterprise, and the enterprise plus. Likewise, there are 5 different options, 5 different license options are available. So Swagger open source is free, so you can use, but here you can see not all the features are available. Under general capabilities, all available. But if you check, advanced editing is also there. Mocking, codeless mocking is not supported. Hosting and maintenance under that, centralized artifact storage, single sign-on, customized landing page URL, those options are not available. Likewise, this availability of features will be different between each option. So today we can check at the free tool list. So I will start with the Swagger editor. So before going to tool, I will give a quick introduction about each tool. Swagger editor you can use to create your API specification. Let's say when your backend developers are working on the development part, that time they need to create the API specification as well. We have seen this API specification on our last videos as well, where it will give all the detailed information about the API, like what are all the available paths. So what are the HTTP methods those paths will use, and what are the parameters which you need to say, and then what are the response it will return, and what are the parameters likewise. So it will give detailed information about our services. So then we can share this API specification with other teams. So if this is a third party, if there are any third party integrations, we can share our API spec with them. So they know it's kind of the contract between the two teams. Okay, we say our service will work like this. If you send these parameters to this particular path, okay, then we will send this resource or the response. Likewise, so that is the contract between the two teams. So that is the API specification. So using the Swagger editor, you can easily create these API specifications. And then we have the next tool, the Swagger UI. Swagger UI we saw, it's the documentation. It is very human friendly and it is easy to read. So the Swagger UI is there. So when you create your API specification on the Swagger editor, it will automatically generate the documentation on the Swagger UI for yourself. So it is very easy for you. You don't need to spend your time on creating this different HTML report or anything. And then you can use the Swagger Codegen to generate your stubs and this decays. So if you can remember our last videos, we used wiremock and then the Postman mock servers likewise. So using the Swagger Codegen also, you can easily create this server stub so the client is decays based on your API specification. So using the Swagger editor, we create the API specification, and then using the UI, you can generate the documentation as well. And by simply passing this created API specification using the Swagger Codegen, you can easily create your stubs as well. So now it's a matter of sending the request to the servers or the server stubs and test your API. So it's really easy. So all the things are available here. So this part today we can talk about like the API designing and building and the mocking part. So then you know how to send the requests using any other tools. And also so the Smart Bear have another tool like SOAP UI as well, which can be used for your API testing purposes. SOAP UI I will cover in a separate video. Today we can have a look on these particular the set of free open source tool is Swagger editor, UI, and the Codegen. So I will start with the Swagger editor. So it came to the Swagger editor page, and here you can see, if you need, you can download it as well, or else you can use the cloud solution as well. So I will go to the cloud solution, because to be honest, there is nothing much for you to show here. You if you yeah if you know how to create open API specification, then it's simply this is the editor. So you don't need to use the Swagger editor. You can use any other tool as well, any other text editor, even your IDE or a notepad as well. You just need to follow the open API specification given the syntax. So then similar way here on the Swagger editor, you can simply create. So here this is a sample API is already here, and you can see this part on the left hand side we have the editor. When you update here real time, it will update to create the Swagger UI documentation for you. So on the right hand side you can see the Swagger UI view. So this is the Swagger UI as well here. So okay, so when you create this open API specification, simply here I will like remove this part now, and you can see now the view also removed since we don't have anything here. Other than creating this the real-time view, there are some other features as well. Using the control button and the space bar, if you click that, it will start to give suggestions for you. So you can easily create your API specification. So for creating this open API specifications, you can use either YAML file or JSON format. Both are supported with the open API. But one thing, like if you use YAML, you need to be very careful, because this is very case sensitive, and also indentation is very strict here on the YAML format. So even extra space or tab in indentation errors will give errors. But with the Swagger editor, it is very easy for you, because in real time you can see all these errors as well. For example, let's say so the first part, when you create this the open API specification, first you need to so here we have all the available list of options. So the first thing is like you need to give the version. So I will use open API. Which version? I will use 3.0.0, let's say. And here when I give, you can see on the right hand side now, it is start to give message to me based on my documentation, based on my the specification created. In real time, it will give all the information. Now it says there is a error because a required property is missing, info, and another required property is missing, path. So we can add those now. So then let's say if I add info, and then you can give some details here, and then it will say the path is missing likewise. And also here also you can see inline, so it will show the error, the syntax, the symbol. So we know that there is a problem with this particular line. So sometimes it could be indentation errors or the syntax errors. Likewise, you can very easily see all of these errors in real time here. So while you create your API definition, you can see all the errors and you can fix those errors as well. Okay. I will put our sample back. And here I will try to explain, like first is the open API version which we are using. And then we start the info section to give information about our API. Then we give a title. So here you can see the title is here showing. And then we give a small description about our API. So this is that part. And then we have term of service. You can give the link to terms. And then contact information like email. Then license information of our API. Then license name and the license URL. Then our API version. So this is our 1.0.11 version. So that version. And then if there are any external documentations, and then the server. So this is the backend servers where our API is deployed. So here you can see the servers will be here. So here you can add multiple servers as well. Simply you can put another URL section here. So let's say I will add something like qvbro.pro, let's say. And here in real time you can see now under the drop down it added the latest option as well. Here like you can switch between the servers, and then there will be option to send request via the Swagger UI. So I will show that part later. So let's see, let's remove this part. And then here you can see some other information about the tags. And from here it start paths. The path means the available endpoints on our server. So one is /pet. So that means like, okay, this particular URL /pet. So then here it gives again the information about the request body here, and then the response objects. So there are different responses. So for 200, so it will send this information, and then 400, 404, 422. Likewise, there are different options. So here also you can see all this information, the response 200, 400. Likewise, all these things are on the, so here is the option, try it out option. Yeah. So likewise, then post request, then another path, get request. So for this path, a get request. So these are the information related to that, the response. Then another path, that also a get. Likewise, you can simply create the API specification here. And yeah, as I mentioned, it will give the inline errors and also the errors on the UI part as well. So likewise, you can simply play with your editor to create your API specifications. So other than that, here there are other options like you can import a URL. So then other than that, you can import a file as well. Also, you can save this as a YAML, or you can convert and save this as JSON. Currently, we have the YAML format. You can convert it to a JSON, and then you can see here it will create. Yeah, let's open it. So you can see the same API specification, but now in JSON format. Likewise, those options are also there. And then if you go to edit, here you can see, yeah, if you have it in JSON, you can convert to ML. And also you can change the Open API specification 3.0 or 2.0 versions. Then here also, yeah, either you can simply on the editor, you can type, or you can click control and space bar and get the available suggestions, or else here from from insert, you can add this as well. So if, for example, if let's say I want to add another path, like this pet path, I need to add a path. So simply I can go to add path, and here I can give the path. So let's say hello. So you can give a summary. So something like this. And then you can give a description likewise about the available optional strings or those things. You can give the description, and then simply you can add the path. Yeah, likewise it will add, you can add these different options, operations, info. Likewise those sections you can simply add easily. And also here you can see the options to generate servers. So from here directly using the Swag editor also, you can create your server stubs. So all these options are there. Java, then yeah, Spring Boot options, then Scala, Kotlin. Likewise, so let's say if I want to uh, create the server stub for Spring, so yeah, I can click here, and then yeah, it will download. Yeah, so then if I go to, let's say, my downloads, and then it downloaded the folder. Okay, I will extract it here. Okay, now you can see the POM.xml, the src folder, the resources, application properties, then the Java files, everything you can see, you can easily download. So the same thing is like what you can do using the Codegen as OS. Here using all these available options, you can download your the server stubs. Also, you can simply download the client as well to call these requests, either the server stub or the client. So let's say when you develop this API specification, let's say the backend is not yet done. Then if you want to create your test cases, then you can generate the server here. And then you can run the server, that means this as the mock server. And then you can use one of the Postman or the Swagger UI tools, so SOAP UI tools, and then you can call it, and then you can create your test cases. So that option is also there. Or else, let's say you have already created your backend work, but let's say the test cases are not there, but you need to test your server. So then you can simply generate a client from here, and then you can call the server. So both server client options are there. You can download the code base simply, and then it's a matter of running the server stub or the client SDKs. And then here, yeah, you can see the documentation and those information are also there. So this is about the Swagger editor, and this part is the Swagger UI. Okay, so then let's go back. So yeah, now I will go to the Swagger UI part directly. Here you can simply, yeah, that also you can download or you can try it on the cloud. But I will go with one of these available options, live demo. So this is the Swagger, the UI for the same API specification, the pet store which we saw from the Swagger editor as well. So the same thing, you can share this documentation with all your clients or the other teams, so they don't need to go through that the YAML file, or you don't need to share anything else. Once they receive this particular Swagger UI documentation, simply here they can see all the information, like what are the available endpoints. So for each endpoint, what is the HTTP method? And then what are the parameters? What are the optional parameters? What are the mandatory parameters? Then what are the different responses this particular service will return? And with the each response, like what are the code, and then what is the response uh, data. Likewise, all this information you can simply see here. And also here you can see the models are also there. So data types, everything is available here using this documentation. Not only the documentation here, simply if the service is deployed somewhere, then if you have put the backend server here, so then you can simply try these options. So here, if you click on the try it out, now you can see these things will be enabled. Now you can give information. So pet ID is an integer. So let's say I will put as 2. These are not mandatory. So then I will not fill, and then you can simply execute it. And then now you can see it received the response. Here it will generate the curl request for you. You can easily send the request using the curl command and then the request URL. But yeah, we received not 200 response, we received a 414. It's because I think, yeah, 414 means the issue with the payload type. So I think mismatch somewhere. Yeah. However, so you can see the response headers. Likewise, those information is there. Then there is another one, find by status. So likewise, you can go to try it out. And these are the options available for the status. So let's say available and execute. And here, yeah, it's still loading. Let's wait. Okay. Now you can see again it generate the curl request, and here it send a 200, and we receive the response body and the response headers. And simply you can download these as well. So this is Swagger UI part where you can easily use it for your documentation purposes, and also you can do some testing as well using the Swagger UI. All this information here was added through the Swagger editor as you saw through the YAML file or the JSON file. Here also, if you have any API specification, YAML file or JSON file, let's say stored somewhere, then you can simply put that link here and then click on the explore. It will generate this documentation from this file for you. So here also they have done the same. We pass this particular URL and then it generates the documentation. Okay, let's try to find some file online if there are. So here I found one YAML file on GitHub. So for example, you can take this YAML file and here you can paste it and you can generate. Currently we are on a demo version, so this will not work. But however, like this, you can simply bypassing the YAML or JSON file for the OpenAPI specification, you can easily load it on the Swagger UI as well. Here this time this not work for us, because if you can remember, we went to a demo version of the Swagger UI here. But if you go to the cloud version and then register there and then you open the Swagger UI, so you can easily create your the files here. Yeah. So now we know how to use Swagger editor and Swagger UI and what are they. Then the last option for today is the Swagger Codegen. So Swagger Codegen also we already saw inside the editor where I show you how to download the stubs client SDKs. Or else here from Codegen also you can simply do the same. So you can download the Swagger Codegen, and then if you come to the download options here, it will take you to the Swagger GitHub. So from here, you will see all the documentation options are there. There are different options. Either you can create a Maven project and then you can put the dependency, and then you can create, let's say if you are working on a Spring Boot project, then you can simply pass the YAML or JSON file of your API specification and then run it. Then it will generate the stub or the client SDK for you based on the API specification. Or else there is another option as well here. You can download the jar file here. Directly you can download the jar file, and then let's say I will show that option. Yeah, I will remove these parts because these are the ones which we generated from the editor. So likewise you can download the jar file, and then you can simply open the command prompt here. Then you can run this jar file using Java flag jar. Yeah, you know these things. Then we need to pass the jar file, and then we can call generate. The keyword is there, and then you need to simply pass some flags or some values you need, parameters you need to pass. All this information you can simply read here on the documentation. Three flags I, L, and O. I means the input. That means you need to share the API specification for which you need to create these stubs. This API specification either you can have it in local or you can host it somewhere. So we can use the same API specification which we found online. So yeah, input. So I want to generate this stub code for this particular API specification, and then minus L, that means the language. Here they have created it for PHP, but let's say I want to generate this for Java, and then output. That means to where we need to save the output, the created code base. So I created a folder here called server. So I will give that. Yeah. And then if you hit enter, now you can see some logs. Okay. And then yeah, we have some errors. The errors are due to, yeah, let's see. Okay, error snake path in YAML content. Yeah, it seems we have some issues on the YAML content since we found online. We have no idea about the content here since we didn't even. Yeah, let's try it out because this is also a good option. So here I can copy the raw file, and then what I will do is like I will go back to the editor, and then here let's try to copy paste this found open API specification to our Swagger editor, and let's see whether if there are any issues. Yeah, so now you can see there are errors here. So here structural error, webhooks, and then yeah, so here there are some issues with the patterns, and yeah, the path parameter username need to be defined as path param. So yeah, likewise there are different errors with the specification we found, unfortunately. So in that case I will use the same specification provided on this example, the pet store. So you can get this JSON file. Yeah, now before that I will go here. Okay, nothing was generated. That's good. So again let's run this Java, then pass the jar, then the jar file, and then generate. Then input, I need to pass the API specification file, and then L, so I need to give the language, and then out, the output location. Okay, now you can see, yeah, no errors, all the logs are there, and using the logs also you can debug anything if you need, and yeah, simply it created. And then if you go to the server folder here, now you can see it created a project for us. Let's try to go to our IDE and let's try to open this project. I will go to open, and then yes, I will refresh it, and yeah, the server is there. using the POM XML. I will open this as a project. Yes, seems all good. And then yeah, it generated the readme file as well, and it has all the information like how you can run this and how the dependencies are added. So yeah, if you don't need to go this way, and if you have already created your Spring Boot project and you just need to include these dependencies, so likewise you can put these dependencies and you can simply create it. All this information are also here. And then if you check the POM XML file, here under the dependencies you can see from Swagger, yeah, everything is here in place. And then if you check, yeah, the client we have created, so the base path, the URL is there, and you can see all the code base is here for our client. And then it has some tests as well. So for the pet API using JUnit, it created some unit tests as well to test for our endpoints, delete, add. So this client, yeah. So we have created the client part here. So likewise, you can easily create your client SDKs, or else you can create your server stubs as well. For server stubs also, the documentation is here. You can how to generate those things. So that's how using Swagger you can easily create or design your APIs, then create the documentation part, and then how to create your client SDKs or the server stubs as well. Within 10 minutes, you can do all. Your life is very easy with the Swagger. So yeah, so these are the things which I wanted to show you today. So today we discussed all things related to the Swagger open source part, and then we have this API hub. Here also, like if you for the API hub you need to register, and then the same options also there, and some extra features and some other extra tools as well available with the API hub. So these things I will keep for the next week. And for the third week, we can check on the SOAP UI, and from there we can finish the Swagger playlist as well, and we can finish the API testing, which we are like doing for a couple of months now, and then we can start on a new playlist. I hope everything was clear up to now, which we have discussed for the API testing or the Swagger part today. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me out or webro.pro@gmail.com. So I'm really happy to help you with all your queries. And also, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and also share this with your friends as well. So, thanks for watching my videos, and see you next week. Happy testing.